Now, I'm on a timer here, so I'll try to keep it to 15 so they don't have to start playing the Oscars music like we nearly did for Bobby there. Vinne Quinn is my name. Our company is Evercam. We've been working on software for cameras, myself and business partner, for the last 8 years, and about 4 years ago we specialized in the construction industry because we saw a gap for an increase in a great improvement in the technology that was available, and people weren't taking advantage of it as a project management and marketing tool. So quickly, when people think of cameras on a site, it's usually about security. And the idea of CCTV, it's all about closed circuit, it's about keep it shut down, and it's about they've done a good job if nothing gets robbed. And that's all fine in the world of closed circuit TV, and they don't need to be particularly high res, and they don't need particularly good software to manage them. We're talking about cameras from the point of view of a project management tool. So you're getting into much better cameras with much different purpose. So rather than looking at the perimeter, you're looking at the overall project. And just to give an example, like we put in a camera, we record the entire project at 1 frame every 5 seconds into the cloud and 8 frames per second locally. Now, that's a massive resource, and a bit like was referenced earlier, you have all the data, but the beautiful thing about it is you go to what you need. So when you need to avoid a dispute, or you need to answer what day was the concrete pour done, who was blocking the gate 10 minutes ago, did we do the foundations properly 3 years ago, you're jumping straight to that image, and you have a time-stamped image to share with the team to answer a question quickly and to stop disputes escalating, whether they're with neighbors, subcontractors, quantity surveyors, whoever. We've been through it all and solved problems with simple images. When you provide access to the entire design team, everyone's on the same page. Nobody gets to have that bit more of the visual data than others, and everyone can use it in their own communications. I'll also have a quick look at the YouTube live streaming and the idea of integrating the camera and the footage with other new technologies. So in terms of project management, I've gone into dispute avoidance. In terms of progress management and project management, on any site now, everyone is measuring everything, and they're making time-stamped data of we have done this, we have fixed this, we have delivered this. This just gives you an option to say, show me exactly that time. Does this correspond with what we've been told? Does this correspond with the number of trucks that we're being billed for? Anything like that. You can't hide from a high-res image of exactly what happened. It's not disputable. In terms of health and safety, I rang around a couple of customers before this presentation and said, can I please show a couple of videos of the health and safety incidents, and I'll completely anonymize them. And they all said, absolutely no way. There'll be a competition between people to see who can recognize the site and what happened. But suffice to say, we've captured a lot of incidents where that incident didn't escalate, didn't go to court, didn't go to insurance companies. It was straightforward. Now we know what happened. And things will happen, but what the companies get from the camera and the learning of it is what led up to it. Show me the incident. Did everyone react properly after the incident? Great, done, keep going. That's how we're turning those over, weekly for the larger clients and the larger projects. This tool we've just added to the software here is the markup tool. You look at an image, you go, great, show me that, draw a circle around this, send it to the architect. Point at that, send it to the engineers. And do that while on site. What surprised us when we looked at how our users were using our software was the different uses that different stakeholders were getting from the camera, and in particular the difference between people using the live view and the recorded view. So in the recorded view, we're seeing the quantity surveyors go in when they're balancing up the books at the end of a month or the end of a milestone, and they're going, right, well, is this true? Is that true? I'm going to check this, and I'm going to include an image, and I'm more likely to get the right answer when I include an image. And then you see the health and safety guys and the director level guys logging in during Storm Ophelia, and they're looking at the cameras going, Jesus, where do I need to send the guys first thing in the morning, because that's the place we most need the emergency team to go out and reinforce scaffolding or check safety or whatever. And they've all got it on the laptops, on the phones, in HQ. And again, simple tools. This is another tool we've built called a compare tool. You take 2 images from your calendar, and your calendar's going back to day 1. We've got cameras in space for 3-4 years. We've been on Boland's Key since the very beginning, and we'll be there till the end. And you take 2 images, and you make a little GIF to compare the 2 of them. And again, video's great, but our philosophy has always been video is hard, and it's hard to make people receive, share, play, use a video. If you can solve a problem with a single image, you should. If you can solve a problem with 2 images like this, then you should. It'll play in an email, it'll play on Twitter, it'll play on LinkedIn, and it's really easy to make, and our customers can make their own. Their marketing guys can sit back and say, right, that's a beautiful sunset over what are going to be a lovely set of apartments. Let's knock up a quick one of those and fire it out on social media. So they're getting the benefit. It's safe to say that there will be cameras on all sites. You know, at the moment there's security cameras. It's creeping into the tender documentation on all the bigger sites. It's creeping in. It's becoming mandatory on a lot of the PPP sites in the UK and that. And our message to the construction industry is embrace it, own it, and you're in control of it. If the client decides they're putting in the camera as a marketing tool, you get what they give you. If you put it in, you get to get as much benefit as possible, and you get to work with your design team using the same access to information. So again, from a marketing perspective, the idea is you're telling the story of the project. It's your own story, right? The client has a different story. Their story is, for example, the ESB HQ in Fitzwilliam. We've got 4 cameras on that, and the internal comms on those cameras are to the staff saying, we're rebuilding your HQ, sit tight, everything's going to plan, here's a time lapse, here's a quick update, here's the stair cores going in quick 30 seconds. And that's great, and in the longer term, they have the one for the other stakeholders, being the council and the neighbours and everything, to say, we made a bit of a mess of this donkeys years ago, and we're putting back a lovely building, and here's it going to be finished. Whereas the message from the construction company is, we're hitting our milestones, we're doing it properly, we're confident in showing off what we're doing. And not only that, because we're recording absolutely everything, our customers can come to us when they receive, they're looking at a tender, say, for a job that involves a steel frame being built on a hill in the winter in Ireland. And they're saying, right, we'll go for that tender. Alongside all the normal tender documents, they look back at the collateral they have from the Evercam cameras on their other projects and say, right, that's quite similar to that job we did. We get Evercam to knock up 30 seconds of that, and it goes into the tender documentation, and it's worth 10 pages of explanations of here's how we would do it. Instead, it's here's exactly how we address those problems on another job in 30 seconds. And then there's the hearts and minds part of illustrating at the end of a project. Again, this worked a lot with our clients who've been building around the edges of the city, and particularly turning a lot of old warehousing and that into either residential or student accommodation or whatever. And those videos at the end, they're used to say, we're improving this part of town. And again, we can turn those videos around, change the logos, all that stuff is easy. It's all going on in the background. What's coming up next, what we're working on at the moment, is using the actual data from the site plus artificial intelligence. And we stayed back from this for a long time, saying the tools aren't ready, the industry, we're not sure if it's ready, and we're not ready. And we stayed back for ages and ages, and then this year we said, right, we're ready, and we hired 2 really good guys, and now we're sitting down with our customers and saying, what do you want to know, and can we give you that information from your camera data? So in testing, we've been doing things like, right, you've got a concrete pour over the course of a full day's work, no problem. We'll say, right, that's a roadstone truck. How many of those came in? How long did they stay? What time did they go out? And be able to graph that and present it to the client in a PDF at the end of the day. And there's useful data. We're saying, like any AI, it comes with the caveat of maybe it's 95, 96% accurate, but you're getting billed for each one of those trucks, whether it's trucks taking rubble out or it's trucks bringing cement in. You want to be able to look at your bill and look at your data and go, okay, fine, we need to look at this a bit more carefully, or we're all good. And again, it's given that bit of data, or saying we're being billed for that, that crane. When did it come in? When did it leave? Or the busyness of excavators and machinery on site. And that's the kind of thing we're working on at the moment. It's really interesting, but we're really at the stage of just asking our customers what they want to know and working on it. So if anyone has cameras or has video data and has questions that could come, what could we learn from that data without needing to sit in front of it for days and days, actually physically counting it, we'd love to take on those challenges. In terms of the BIM integration, this one here is Harcourt Road that we did with Stewart's, and we've done the same with a few other projects. And again, it's just a case of spinning the BIM model around to be taken from the same angle as our camera is, and then you're able to look at, show me the live view, where we are now, show me how we got here, and show me where we're going. And look at, here's the next stages on the BIM model, here's the end. It's a lovely way of visualizing where the project is going and any changes made or anything like that. Again, it's not down to the level of millimeter measurements where you're going to say those pipes won't line up, you know, from this camera that's 100 meters away. But it's very good for just explaining to people, here's where we're at, here's what's coming next. And again, there's plenty we can work on with that. And because we've built an open API, we can pull either the BIM model images in, or we can give access to pull images from our software, from our servers out. So whether they're current images or time-stamped images, that's all pretty straightforward. A lot of our clients send images directly from Evercam to Procore, Viewpoint. They can pop up straight into DFM. And the idea, again, is just having all that data. And it's a bit like you won't need to look at 99% of those images, but having the one you want on hand when you need it is solving a lot of problems for people. In terms of just a couple of real-world examples of using the camera from a marketing perspective, the marketeers, whether it's from the construction side or the client side, they're always looking for collateral, and this is just another way of saying, right, you don't need to send anyone on site, you don't need to go and hire a videographer, just pop in. There's some nice snow, there's a nice sunset, there's a bit of change in the visuals on a project, and share them out straight away. And to keep myself possibly even under time, the conclusion really from our point of view, and not just about, you know, Evercam's cameras, but any cameras, like, record everything, record the entire project. It's the, you know, storage has become cheaper, capture has become cheaper, broadband has become cheaper. There's no reason not to. And if you have that collateral in your company, even if you can't do magic stuff with it now, you're going to be able to. So record it, capture it, keep it. In the grand scheme of things, on a size of a project, it's a tiny fraction in terms of cost, and it has you covered for any eventuality down the line where you need to prove what you have done. Sharing, again, record everything, own the story. You're telling the story, you decide the narrative, you can make as many videos as you want from it, and they could be used with different subcontractors, have different things to show off. Again, once you record everything, you can do all that later. Sharing access, we have some clients who don't want anyone to see it, and we have other clients who just add the whole design team, and we will always encourage people, where possible, add the entire design team, add everyone you can who can benefit from some efficiencies or from some, you know, just speed the job up by sharing access to the camera where possible. Again, it's all, the signage is there to make sure it's compliant with data protection and GDPR. We can do blurring if we have to. There's lots of privacy shields, all that stuff we've addressed before. And yeah, build marketing collateral. Keep everything and show it off. But most importantly, it's your definitive visual record of a project. And it's relatively easy now to install and manage and view and share compared to how it used to be. So we're asking people to take advantage of that. So yeah, that's it. If anyone has any questions or wants to see under the hood later on, we're on stand 33, and there's loads more we can show you about how it all works when we're standing beside you. So thanks very much. Great.
Thanks, Vinny. It's a two-part question, and it's a little bit techie. The quality of the images that you showed us that the cameras give you seems really high resolution. Are the files, so you have locally stored data and then cloud stored data, are the files very large? And if so, how do you manage that?
They are very large, and our clients don't need to worry about that. What we're doing is we're using off-the-shelf high-end CCTV hardware. So pretty much your own installer can install it. If you have cameras in Dubai, they can install them. And what we're doing is we pull an image every 5 seconds directly from the camera, 8 megapixel image. We're storing them and stacking them on our cloud servers. We use Hetzner, it's fairly bulletproof. But on top of that, we're recording 8 frames per second locally, and that's where we go if we need to get a health and safety incident or something that might be needed for insurance or something that's particularly important. So the broadband wouldn't allow you to pull that video to the cloud, and it would be crazy to try and do it for 4 cameras over 6 years like we're doing with Boland's Quay or with Dublin Airport Central or anything. So our clients can go in and say, right, we have a report from something, health and safety reports from last Tuesday. Okay, they use our 1 frame per 5 seconds to find the incident, and then they click make a clip, and what they get back is the high frame rate footage of that, zoomed in if they want on the footage. So there's loads of data, and we learned the hard way not to try and bring it all into the cloud. That also means if you've got broadband problems, it's being stored locally, and we can repopulate the recorded footage afterwards. And if, God forbid, something terrible happens on the site and your hard drives are completely gone, you've still got your frame every 5 seconds for the whole thing.
Okay, thank you. And then the second part to the question, it looks quite sophisticated software that you're using to overlay, to mark up. Is that Evercam software, or is it free,
that is
open
Evercam's software, and we've learned the hard way. We started off as more of an API company building systems to allow systems talk to each other, and we thought we would be the API for cameras, and we went off and hung around Silicon Valley trying to get people excited about that, and we were wrong and it was too early. But what we did learn was how to build nice open source, and our software is relatively open source. Anyone can integrate with it very, very easily with just API calls. But in terms of adding the markup and all that, those things do all exist. The absolute hardest part of what we do is keep capturing images. Once you have them, doing stuff with them, like those little compares, they look good, but technically they're not very hard. The hard part is keep pulling images, know what to do when the camera stops giving you images, automatically reboot it, query the router. We used to work with the client's broadband, now we don't. We put in our own dual SIM 4G system. We can reboot it automatically with a text message. All that stuff, that was all the hard part, funnily enough. And the stuff that looks good was the easy part.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I'm just wondering about the GDPR, because the cameras seem quite good, and you can, you got a good 100 meters. So you get a lot of people in good 100 meters. So how do you get around the GDPR? You can pick up an awful lot of information.
Yeah.
People don't even know they're being videoed.
The key point with CCTV, like when you walk into a shop, the sign says we're recording for the purposes of security and staff safety, and they're telling you why. You must tell people why you're recording, and that's pre-GDPR, that's data protection. And you must tell people what you're using it for, and you shouldn't use it for other things in excess of that. So we have these signs on the way in, whether people are walking in or driving in. We can write it into the induction if the client requires, and then we manage what that can be used for. If there's a site where, for example, GSA were building on Gardner Street and the student accommodation there. Their building is right next door to a school. Our camera is up on the roof of a building across the road, and it can't but capture the schoolyard. So we draw a big black box around that schoolyard, and that's never recorded and never seen. It's a privacy shield, and that sometimes happens like the windows of an apartment block. If they have to be in the frame, we block them all out. And then when we make the video at the end, we take one clip of the schoolyard and we superimpose that in the whole video. And only a video editor would notice, because they'll notice that the shadows and whether it's wet or dry and all that doesn't change on the schoolyard, but it doesn't matter because they're all looking at the project anyway. There could be issues with individuals saying, I don't want to be recorded, but you're being recorded everywhere. We're telling you what we're doing. We're telling you, most importantly, we're telling you what we're going to use it for. We're saying the entire project's being recorded, so it's a given with retail that you're recording for like 30 days or thereabouts, or and you'll keep incidents. We're saying the entire project's being recorded because, much like storing all the data with your safety file for the whole project, this is the same thing. It's required. A lot of problems that we're seeing in construction could have been avoided by having this from day one. So that's all there. If somebody comes and says something particularly bad happened in front of one of your internal fit-out cameras and we really want to make sure nobody sees it, no problem. Tell us. we'll delete it. You know, it's usually the customer will come to us, or if they're client. It's very rare. And when a building opens, for example, and if the guys still want to record because it's very often the narrative isn't just we built it, it's we built it and now people are coming in and out and the retail units are really busy. We can, if we want to reduce the resolution on that, like we have some systems where we purposefully use, for example, Scotch House, which is being built on the quays there, on Burr Quay. They have a live stream of the building on their website. They have 2 live streams, one from the crane and one from the roof of building across the road. We purposefully reduced the resolution on that live stream on YouTube so that you can't see faces and license plates. So again, you're seeing the big picture, but we've reduced the stream, and it's actually much easier to stream it when it's lower resolution anyway, but it means we'll look after the compliance, basically.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's just that some of your cameras could be quite far away from the sites, actually. Like on the cranes, for example, they could be quite a distance away. So you could be picking up people who might never be on the site, mightn't even read that information, for example.
Yeah, and we have that. We can pick up that footage. We try not to, and sometimes it's unavoidable where you see houses and whatever. And sometimes people will come and say, you have a camera that might be capturing my house, and I think one of my neighbours, you know, banged into my car, or I want to see what time the next door neighbour came home with and who they came home with last night. And we don't give them access to that. We have an evidence sharing relationship with the Gardaí, and if anyone wants information for stuff that happened outside the site, the Gardaí come to us with a Pulse ID number, and we're compliant to give them the footage that they want. And we can make the data privacy impact assessment on any camera and say, okay, it's far enough away to not capture individuals, and we know that we're not going to be sharing, we're not going to be allowing people to come and look for evidence that they're not entitled to see. It's one of the reasons, actually, when we started building camera software, loads of people came to us and said, will you build us community CCTV software? Or will you build software for managing creches in particular, was another one. And we looked at it and we talked to a lot of people and we turned around and said, absolutely no way, not going near it, it's a minefield. You know, it's loads of people looking at little problems, and when you step back and look at the construction, there's so much more exciting stuff going on that isn't that CCTV world. So we thought about all that stuff as a business direction, and it's a minefield. So stayed away from it.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? We done? Anyone's welcome to come down to stand 33 and get a better look anyway. Thanks very much, Emma. Cheers.